Welcome to your Daily Dose of Joy channel. I bet you didn't know how complex family dynamics can be, especially when it comes to in-laws. Today we embark on a journey that many of you might find all too familiar. It's a journey through the intricate and often tumultuous world of family dynamics where love and conflict coexist in a delicate balance. I know many of you are drawn to stories like these because, sadly, they resonate with your own experiences. The tales of joy, sorrow, and everything in between that make up the fabric of our family lives. These stories are not just anecdotes, they are reflections of our own struggles and triumphs. Family dynamics can be complex, especially when it comes to in-laws. The relationships we form with our in-laws can be a source of great support or significant stress. They can uplift us or challenge us in ways we never anticipated. Today we're diving deep into one woman's struggle with her mother-in-law, a relationship that nearly shattered her marriage. This story is not just about one family, it's a universal tale that many can relate to. It's about the delicate dance of maintaining harmony while asserting one's own boundaries. This isn't just about gossip or drama, it's about understanding the underlying issues that can turn a loving relationship into a battlefield. It's about recognizing the signs of toxicity and taking steps to protect oneself and one's loved ones. It's about the very real pain that toxic in-law relationships can inflict. The emotional toll can be overwhelming, affecting not just the individuals directly involved, but the entire family. It's a pain that can seep into every aspect of life, making it hard to find peace and happiness. It's about the strength it takes to fight for your marriage when an outside force threatens to tear it apart. The resilience required to stand firm in the face of adversity, to communicate openly and honestly with your partner, and to seek solutions together. And ultimately, it's about hope. The hope for healing, understanding, and lasting love. The hope that, despite the challenges, we can find a way to coexist peacefully and support each other. It's about believing that love can conquer all, even the most difficult of family dynamics. Let's unravel this story together, learn from its challenges, and find solace in knowing that we are not alone in these struggles. By sharing our experiences and supporting each other, we can find the strength to navigate the family battlefield and emerge stronger, more resilient, and more united than ever before. Before we delve into the turmoil, let me introduce you to the players in this drama. This is not just any family story, it's a tale of love, conflict, and the intricate dance of relationships that can either make or break a family. There's the narrator, a woman deeply in love and committed to her marriage. She believed that love could conquer all, that her bond with her husband was unbreakable. She was ready to face any challenge, but little did she know that the biggest challenge would come from within the family. Then there's her husband, caught in the middle of two powerful women in his life. He loved his wife dearly, but was also devoted to his mother. His heart was a battlefield, torn between the two most important women in his life. He often found himself in a difficult position, trying to keep the peace while staying true to his own feelings. And finally, we have the mother-in-law, a woman whose love for her son seemed to come with a hefty dose of possessiveness and control. She had her own vision of what her son's life should be like, and she wasn't shy about imposing her views. Her intentions might have been rooted in love, but her actions often felt like a stranglehold on the couple's happiness. From the outset, the relationship between the narrator and her mother-in-law was strained. It wasn't just a matter of differing opinions, it was a clash of wills, a power struggle that neither was willing to lose. The mother-in-law's subtle digs and veiled criticisms were like tiny daggers, each one leaving a small wound that never quite healed. There were subtle digs disguised as compliments, unsolicited advice that felt more like criticism, and an uncanny ability to make the narrator feel inadequate. Every family gathering became a minefield, with the narrator constantly on edge, waiting for the next comment that would undermine her confidence. These weren't isolated incidents. They were recurring patterns of behavior that chipped away at the narrator's self-esteem and her sense of belonging within her own marriage. The mother-in-law's actions created a rift, not just between her and the narrator, but also between the narrator and her husband. The constant tension and conflict began to take a toll on their relationship. The mother-in-law's actions were like a virus, slowly infecting the ecosystem of their family life. What started as small, seemingly insignificant comments and actions grew into a pervasive sense of unease and discord. The once happy and harmonious home became a battleground, with each member of the family feeling the strain in their own way. The narrator found herself questioning her worth, her decisions, and even her place in the family. The husband, torn between his love for his wife and his loyalty to his mother, struggled to find a balance. And the mother-in-law, perhaps unaware of the full impact of her actions, continued to assert her influence, believing she was acting in the best interest of her son. This is the story of how love, control, and the quest for power can intertwine, creating a complex web that can either strengthen or destroy the bonds of family. As time went on, the mother-in-law's behavior became more blatant, more insidious. What started as subtle comments and minor interferences gradually escalated into a full-blown campaign of undermining and manipulation. The narrator initially tried to brush off these actions, hoping they were just misunderstandings or isolated incidents. However, it soon became clear that these were deliberate tactics designed to erode her confidence and position within the family. She would undermine the narrator's parenting decisions in front of the grandchildren, often contradicting her instructions and making her seem incompetent. For instance, if the narrator set a bedtime, the mother-in-law would allow the children to stay up late, claiming it was harmless fun. This not only confused the children but also made them question their mother's authority. She would question her cooking and housekeeping skills, often making snide remarks about how things were done in her own home. The mother-in-law would criticize the meals prepared by the narrator, suggesting that they were not up to the family's standards. She would also point out any minor imperfections in the housekeeping, implying that the narrator was not capable of maintaining a proper home, and constantly compare her to other women, particularly those she deemed more successful or capable. These comparisons were not just casual remarks but were intended to belittle the narrator and make her feel inadequate. The mother-in-law would often bring up the achievements of other women in the family or community, highlighting their successes while subtly implying that the narrator fell short. One particularly hurtful tactic was the mother-in-law's tendency to make everything about herself. She had a knack for turning any situation into a platform for her own stories and experiences. This self-centered behavior was not just annoying but deeply hurtful, as it often overshadowed the narrator's own moments of joy or sorrow. If the narrator shared good news, it was quickly overshadowed by a story about the mother-in-law's own accomplishments. For example, if the narrator announced a promotion at work, the mother-in-law would immediately start talking about her own career achievements, effectively stealing the spotlight. This made the narrator feel invisible and unappreciated. If the narrator expressed sadness or frustration, it was met with dismissiveness or worse, turned into an opportunity for the mother-in-law to play the victim. Instead of offering support or empathy, the mother-in-law would downplay the narrator's feelings and shift the focus to her own past struggles, making it clear that she believed her experiences were far more significant. This constant emotional manipulation created a wedge between the narrator and her husband. The mother-in-law's actions were not just aimed at undermining the narrator but also at driving a rift between the couple. She would often make comments that sowed seeds of doubt and mistrust, making it difficult for the narrator and her husband to maintain a united front. He was torn between his wife, whom he loved dearly, and his mother, who seemed threatened by his wife's presence in his life. This loyalty conflict put a tremendous strain on their marriage, as the husband struggled to balance his love for his wife with his sense of duty and loyalty to his mother. The mother-in-law's toxic tactics not only affected the narrator but also had a profound impact on the entire family dynamic, creating an environment of tension and discord. Despite the constant barrage of negativity, I tried to build bridges to find common ground with my mother-in-law. I invited her to family events, sought her advice on trivial matters to create an illusion of inclusion, and even tried, albeit unsuccessfully, to have heart-to-heart conversations. But every attempt at genuine connection was met with resistance. It was like trying to hug a cactus, painful and ultimately fruitless. My mother-in-law seemed determined to view me as a rival, a threat to her position of power within the family. This realization was a bitter pill to swallow. I began to understand that I couldn't change her behavior, nor could I force her to see our relationship differently. The only thing I could control was my own reaction. The constant tension and emotional warfare took a heavy toll on our marriage. Arguments became more frequent, resentment festered, and the once unbreakable bond between my husband and me began to fray. I found myself walking on eggshells, terrified of saying or doing anything that might trigger another outburst from my mother-in-law. One particularly vicious argument pushed me to my breaking point. In a fit of anger and frustration, I uttered the words I never thought I'd say. It's either me or your mother. The ultimatum hung heavy in the air, a tangible manifestation of the turmoil that had consumed our lives. I knew I couldn't live like this anymore, but the thought of leaving my husband, the man I loved more than anything, filled me with unbearable sadness.